Okay, so in this wild high-stakes race for AI dominance, Amazon Web Services just made a really interesting move. They didn't just announce some new tool, they've literally opened up a brand new playground for the future of artificial intelligence. So yeah, let's dive into this and see what they're actually building. Here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll look at what this new sandbox actually is. Then we'll trace it back to a project that was, well, massively successful. We'll explore what's inside, unpack the strategy behind it, and finally, look at what this all means for the future of AI agents. All right, first things first, the big news. AWS has launched something called Strands Labs. And honestly, the best way to think about it is as this dedicated space for developers to just get their hands dirty and experiment with the next wave of AI, where the rules haven't even been written yet. Now, before we go any further, we need to lock in a really key term, agentic AI. This is a huge, huge leap beyond your standard chatbot. We're talking about AI that doesn't just respond to you. We're talking about AI that can reason, plan, and actively take steps on its own to finish a goal. Think about it like the shift from a simple tool to like an autonomous collaborator. So what is Strands Labs in practice? Well, it's a new home on GitHub, which is pretty much the world's biggest platform for code, and its entire purpose is to be a sandbox. You know, a safe, dedicated place for developers to play with these powerful agentic AI concepts without having to worry about breaking anything critical. But this didn't just appear out of nowhere, not at all. Strands Labs is really the next logical chapter in a story that AWS started writing last year. And to really get what the labs is all about, you first have to understand the agents. See, last summer, AWS released Strands Agents. It's an SDK, a software development kit that made it incredibly simple for developers to build their own AI agents. The whole mission was about accessibility, letting anyone create these really complex systems with just a few lines of code. And the response? It was staggering. The Strands Agents SDK has been downloaded over 14 million times. I mean, just think about that number. That's a massive signal. And it basically proved to AWS that there is a colossal appetite in the developer community for this tech. That success is the direct launchpad for Strands Labs. So if you're a developer stepping into this new sandbox today, what do you actually find? Well, at launch, AWS has seeded it with 3 initial projects that are pushing right up against the current boundaries of what agentic AI can even do. Let's break these down. First up, there's robots. And that's all about connecting agents to the physical world. This is a frontier because it's about breaking AI out of the cloud and into our reality. You know, think smarter logistics, responsive manufacturing, maybe even assistive tech in our homes. Then you've got Robot Sim, which is a simulation environment. This one pushes the frontier of accessibility, tearing down the huge cost and hardware barriers to robotics R&D. And finally, AI functions. The frontier here is how we create software itself. Imagine just telling your system in plain English, hey, create a function that analyzes customer reviews for positive or negative sentiment. And poof, the code is generated instantly. That's the goal. Now, what's really fascinating here is the implication of having these 2 robotics projects side by side. On one hand, you have the direct link to physical hardware, but on the other, the simulation completely democratizes development. It means the next big breakthrough in robotics might not come from a billion-dollar corporate lab, but from some solo developer with a brilliant idea and a laptop. And this leads to a really crucial strategic question. I mean, with a tool that has over 14 million downloads, why not just add these new experiments to the existing Strands Agents project? Why go to the trouble of building a whole separate lab? Well, this quote from AWS's Claire Ligori just gets right to the heart of it. The original SDK isn't just a cool project anymore. It's a critical piece of infrastructure that businesses actually rely on. You can't be reckless with something that important. The labs provides that essential space to experiment boldly without risking the stability of the core tool. So the crucial point is this deliberate separation. Strands Agents SDK is the stable, reliable production line. Strands Labs is the R&D department. It's meant to be messy and experimental. This 2-track approach signals a real maturity in AWS's AI strategy. It's how you support a massive user base while at the same time pushing the absolute bleeding edge, because that freedom to fail is absolutely essential for real innovation. All right, let's move to our final section and see how this all builds toward the future. What's the grand vision here? You know, where do all these sandbox experiments ultimately lead? The playbook here is pretty clear and it's powerful. Use the labs to explore the frontier and see what's possible. Do it out in the open, harnessing the collective brainpower of the community. Then, and this is key, learn from what developers actually build and find valuable. The most successful, most battle-tested experiments can then graduate and become official, stable features in the main SDK for everyone to use at scale. So, it all comes down to this. In a time when every tech giant is placing these massive bets on AI, AWS isn't just trying to build a future in-house. They've built the Sandbox, they've provided the first set of really advanced toys, and now they've opened the gates to their entire global developer community. The only question left is the one that really matters. What new worlds will they build?